Well, thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in this panel today. Chairman Warner works the Intel Committee very well. It is bipartisan in nature. And for folks that look up here and they see nothing but partisanship and so forth, I can assure you that behind closed doors, there is true bipartisanship that occurs in that committee, as well as on the Armed Services Committee. And
can we even give them the real secret?
No.
Which is, we actually like each other.
And now you're probably going too far. Now they're not going to believe anything we tell them.
They made it an NDA, okay.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's, let me just begin by this. It's anything that we do in the Senate has got to be bipartisan or it doesn't go anyplace.
Amen.
And so we start, from my perspective, I'm just going to tell you the story on why we want to make this happen. My own personal story on this. I watched as we would go into a classified discussion, but we didn't have staff, our own staff, that could have a background on what we were doing. The United States Senate is staff-driven. And if you want to get something done in a Senate office, you have to have had communication between the staff members. But if the staff members can't get access to some of the material, the chances of getting that in front of a member of the Senate gets significantly reduced. What I found in terms of serving on the Armed Services Committee was that as a member, I had access to items that were significantly classified. And you recognize that there are reasons why they're classified, in part because of the program itself. Some of them are very, very sensitive, but there's also a matter of protecting sources and methods, which nobody wants to get in the way of. We absolutely have to protect sources and methods for how we get our intelligence, but we also want to make sure that we protect those significant programs that keep us on the cutting edge of technology, and we don't want to give away those secrets. China's good enough at getting our secrets the way it is. So we don't want to give up any more. So we're going to be very careful in that regard. But what I also found is this degree of secrecy that we had was impeding our ability to find areas of opportunity when it came to coordinating authorizing committee members and appropriating members. And I want to give you one example. It's still there today. And that is with the issue of AI. In South Dakota, that would be artificial insemination. In Washington, D.C., it is artificial intelligence. Okay? So, artificial intelligence, there was a commission which was established more than 2 years ago, some of the brightest minds in the United States, if not the world, coming in and sharing their expertise about the direction that our country should go to enhance our abilities using artificial intelligence. Both the pros and the cons. And they did a marvelous job. And they put out 2 different reports, one of which was unclassified. And it's a good report. But the second report was classified at such a level that you basically, unless you were on one of the select committees, you didn't get a chance to read it. I was privileged to be able to read it. And what I saw in there was opportunity to advance AI to the benefit of this country in a very rapid way. But it meant that appropriators would have to look at where they could spend money on behalf of the country. But if an appropriator could not get the correct classification or or access to it to read it, there was no way they were going to be able to fund it. It was frustrating. And in fact, it's one of the reasons why last year we came together, Republicans and Democrats alike, and it took it took us almost 6 months to do it. We now have within the United States Senate, one member of each office has now the ability to apply for it to get a TS-SCI clearance. Only one member, but that way that person can perhaps come in and get an advanced review of some of the more classified documents, and then all they have to do is walk into their member and say, you really need to go and get this document. You really need to take time out of your schedule and sit down and read this. You need to get this briefing. They're held behind closed doors. Well, that member is not going to go get it if they don't know it exists in the first place. And the only way they find out about it is if a member of their staff tells them that it's something they got to do. We found that last year. And now we have members that each member has one person, at least on their staff, who has access to TS-SCI materials. Not necessarily SAP, and not areas that have sources and methods in them to protect those sources and methods. My next step on this is this. Part of what AI can do for this country is to improve the quality of life when it comes to healthcare. But if you're going to improve healthcare, it means people in those committees have to have access to that same material, which is classified to such a degree that they can't get it, unless they have special permission from the leadership in the Senate to actually get that briefing. That's when you realize that there is a lost opportunity cost that has to be addressed. That's the reason why we got involved in this discussion in the first place. It is the reason why we have to continue to find the best way forward to protect the sources and methods and to protect our major programs from access from prying eyes. But the vast majority of these new opportunities have to be appropriately funded, and we've got to have the ability to communicate within our offices which ones deserve the funding, which ones should be reviewed, and which ones staff can handle directly without having a member's time involved. It may sound trivial, but we literally run out of time every single day. And to have the ability to have staff be able to share this with us in a more efficient manner will make us a better organization here in the Senate. That's my story.